If Bran Stark had never fallen from the tower, the world of Westeros would have unfolded in profoundly different ways. His fall set in motion a chain of events that impacted not only his life but the trajectories of the Stark family, the political landscape of the Seven Kingdoms, and the greater supernatural struggles beyond the Wall. The absence of this critical event would alter relationships, power dynamics, and even the confrontation with the White Walkers. First and foremost, Bran's survival as an uninjured boy would mean that the secret of Jaime and Cersei's incestuous relationship would not have been immediately jeopardized. In the original timeline, Bran's fall occurred because he witnessed the Lannister twins in their illicit encounter. Without this discovery, Jaime and Cersei's secret would have remained hidden for a longer time, and the escalating tensions between House Stark and House Lannister might have been delayed. This delay could have postponed or even prevented the events that led to the War of the Five Kings. Bran's ability to walk and continue living as a normal boy would also preserve the Stark family dynamics in Winterfell. In the original timeline, Bran's injury forced Catelyn Stark to remain at his bedside, creating a significant vacuum in Winterfell's leadership and parenting. Without this crisis, Catelyn might have accompanied Ned to King's Landing, potentially influencing his decisions there. Her presence in the capital could have strengthened his position, given her keen political insight and protective instincts. The ripple effects might have included a stronger alliance between the Starks and other noble houses, possibly delaying or mitigating Lannister dominance. Another critical consequence of Bran not falling is that his journey into the mystical and supernatural would never have begun. The fall was the catalyst for his eventual transformation into the Three-Eyed Raven. Without his injury, he would not have been drawn to the mystical visions, the guidance of the Three-Eyed Raven, or his exploration of the ancient powers of warging and greensight. This absence would leave Westeros without one of its most critical weapons against the White Walkers. The war against the dead would lack the insights Bran provided through his visions, such as the revelation of Jon Snow's true parentage and the understanding of the Night King's movements. From a broader perspective, Bran's continued normality would significantly impact the Starks' role in the political arena. In the original timeline, Bran's injury and subsequent immobility created vulnerabilities that adversaries exploited. Without these vulnerabilities, the Stark family might have maintained a stronger united front. Robb Stark, for instance, could have received more active support from his mother, and the unity of the North might have been more effectively preserved. This unity could have strengthened Robb's campaign during the War of the Five Kings, possibly leading to a different outcome in his rebellion against the Lannisters. In addition, the absence of Bran's fall would shift the focus of key players in Westeros. For example, Theon Greyjoy's story might have diverged significantly. In the original timeline, Theon's betrayal of the Starks and seizure of Winterfell were partly influenced by the vulnerability of Winterfell following the departures of Robb, Catelyn, and the other Stark siblings. A stable Winterfell under Bran's capable leadership could have presented a more formidable obstacle to Theon's ambitions, potentially preventing the disastrous chain of events that led to the destruction of his character and his redemption arc. Similarly, the relationship between Jon Snow and the rest of the Stark family could have evolved differently. Bran's fall and the subsequent challenges faced by the family created a sense of urgency and fragmentation that defined their individual arcs. If Bran had not fallen, the Stark family might have remained more cohesive, allowing Jon to feel more integrated despite his status as a bastard. This cohesion could have influenced his decisions, such as his choice to join the Night's Watch, and potentially altered his involvement in the larger conflicts beyond the Wall. The Lannisters, too, would have been affected by Bran's continued normality. Jaime's actions in pushing Bran from the tower were driven by his need to protect his and Cersei's secret. Without that moment, Jaime's journey as a character would have followed a vastly different trajectory. His guilt and eventual redemption arc were closely tied to this singular act of violence. If he had never harmed Bran, Jaime might have remained more deeply entrenched in his identity as the Kingslayer, with less motivation to question his morality or seek redemption. The broader consequences for the Seven Kingdoms would also extend to the supernatural realm. Bran's role as the Three-Eyed Raven provided crucial knowledge and strategies that played a pivotal role in the final battles against the White Walkers. Without his fall, the human forces might have been caught unprepared, lacking the key intelligence that Bran provided. This absence could have allowed the Night King to advance unchecked, possibly leading to the devastation of the entire realm. In this alternate timeline, the alliance between the living might never have coalesced as effectively, and the balance of power between life and death would have been disrupted. Moreover, Bran's continued ability to walk might have influenced his personal ambitions and character development. As a physically active and adventurous boy, Bran might have pursued knighthood or other martial endeavors. This path would have diverged sharply from his mystical destiny, grounding him in the human conflicts of Westeros rather than the supernatural. Such a trajectory might have led to his participation in battles or political schemes, further entwining him in the mortal struggles of the realm. Bran's unique perspective and leadership would also influence the culture and governance of the North. As a boy who had already displayed curiosity and intelligence, Bran could have grown into a wise and innovative leader, especially with the guidance of his family. His leadership might have strengthened alliances with neighboring houses, reinforced the independence of the North, and established a legacy of stability. However, one cannot overlook the darker possibilities of this alternate timeline. If Bran's powers never manifested, the magical defenses of Westeros might have weakened. The symbiotic relationship between Bran and the ancient forces of the Children of the Forest was crucial in resisting the Night King. Without Bran's presence in the mystical realm, the knowledge and power required to combat the White Walkers would diminish, leaving humanity vulnerable to annihilation. In conclusion, the absence of Bran's fall from the tower would create a radically different Westeros, altering the fates of individual characters, the Stark family, and the realm as a whole. While some aspects of the world might have experienced greater stability, the loss of Bran's unique journey and powers would leave humanity unprepared for the existential threats lurking beyond the wall. This alternate history would replace one set of challenges with another, underscoring the fragile balance between fate and free will in the intricate tapestry of George R.R. Martin's world. Continuing the analysis, the absence of Bran's fall would extend its effects beyond the Stark family and their immediate allies. One of the most profound shifts in this alternate timeline lies in the broader political landscape of Westeros. In the original timeline, the Stark-Lannister conflict was accelerated by the discovery of Jaime and Cersei's relationship, which Bran's fall catalyzed. Without this revelation, King Robert Baratheon would likely have continued his reign without realizing the illegitimacy of his children. This ignorance could have prolonged the Baratheon-Lannister alliance, maintaining a facade of stability in the realm. Robert's oblivion to Cersei's deceit might also have delayed Ned Stark's downfall. In the original timeline, Ned's sense of honor and loyalty to Robert drove him to investigate and ultimately reveal the truth about the Lannister children. Without Bran's discovery, Ned would have had no immediate reason to dig into this dangerous secret, potentially allowing him to navigate King's Landing politics with less risk. This scenario might have enabled him to wield greater influence over Robert, curbing some of the excesses and mismanagement that characterized his rule. However, this apparent stability would come with its own risks. The Lannisters' power would continue to grow unchecked, given Tywin's calculated ambition and the cunning of his children. Jaime's focus would remain on his role as a knight and member of the Kingsguard, unburdened by guilt or introspection, while Cersei's influence over Robert and the court would only deepen. Over time, this might lead to an even greater consolidation of power under the Lannisters, potentially sowing seeds for a future civil war when Robert's reign eventually faltered. The Tyrells, Martells, and other noble houses would also find themselves navigating a different political climate. Without the Stark-Lannister conflict erupting into full-scale war, alliances and rivalries would shift. The Tyrells, for instance, might pursue a marriage alliance with the Baratheons earlier, securing a foothold in the capital without the chaos of the War of the Five Kings. Meanwhile, the Martells, whose grievances against the Lannisters festered in the original timeline, might find fewer opportunities to exact vengeance, potentially delaying or altering their own plans for retribution. On a personal level, Bran's survival and continued mobility would transform his relationships within the Stark family. Arya Stark, for instance, shared a close bond with Bran, and his injury profoundly affected her development, fueling her desire for independence and revenge. If Bran remained unscathed, Arya might have stayed closer to her family, delaying her journey into the world of assassins and revenge. While this might shield her from some of the trauma she endured, it could also prevent her from becoming the skilled and resourceful figure who played a pivotal role in the original timeline's events, including the defeat of the Night King. Sansa Stark, too, would experience a different trajectory. Bran's fall and the subsequent upheaval in the Stark household forced Sansa to mature quickly and adapt to the dangerous politics of King's Landing. Without this catalyst, Sansa might retain her early naivety for a longer time, potentially making her more vulnerable to manipulation by figures like Littlefinger or Cersei. Alternatively, a more stable Stark household could provide Sansa with the guidance and support needed to navigate her position in the capital more effectively. Jon Snow's journey would also diverge significantly. In the original timeline, Jon's departure for the Night's Watch was driven in part by his sense of being an outsider within the Stark family. With Bran healthy and the Stark household less fractured, Jon might have found greater acceptance and purpose at Winterfell, delaying or even preventing his decision to join the Watch. This change would have profound implications for the defense of the Wall and the larger battle against the White Walkers. Jon's leadership and alliance-building efforts were instrumental in uniting the disparate factions of the North and beyond. Without his presence at the Wall, the Night's Watch might falter in its mission, leaving the realm more vulnerable to the advancing threat of the undead. Meanwhile, the North itself would benefit from Bran's potential as a future leader. As a curious and thoughtful boy, Bran could grow into a ruler who combines the Stark family's sense of honor with a forward-thinking approach to governance. His leadership might emphasize innovation and unity, strengthening the North's position in the realm. This stability could attract allies and bolster the region's defenses, creating a bulwark against both southern intrigue and northern threats. The mystical dimension of Westeros would face the most profound loss in this alternate timeline. Without Bran's fall, his journey to becoming the Three-Eyed Raven would never begin. This omission would leave the realm without a crucial link to the ancient knowledge and powers needed to confront the White Walkers. The Children of the Forest, who played a pivotal role in shaping the world's history and defending it from the Night King, would lack a human ally capable of channeling their wisdom and abilities. This absence could tip the balance in favor of the Night King, allowing his army of the dead to overwhelm the living. Ultimately, the absence of Bran's fall would create a Westeros that is both more stable in the short term and more vulnerable in the long term. While the Stark family might remain united and the realm might avoid immediate conflict, the lack of preparation for the supernatural threat would leave humanity exposed to annihilation. This alternate timeline highlights the intricate interplay between personal choices, political dynamics, and cosmic forces in shaping the fate of Westeros. It serves as a testament to the profound impact of seemingly small events in a world where every action and decision carries weighty consequences.